successful. Sound good? Awesome. So I hope I will see everybody there. Like I said, I'll send an email out this afternoon with those days and times. It'll be next week and the following week. We're going to repeat, so there's multiple options for you to get there. So thank you, guys.
Awesome. I've invited Stacy to participate with us on the staff presentation, and she's going to provide input as we go through and practical application on that as well. So the market is shifting. We've already said that. And several of you raised your hand and said you're feeling that. Some of the numbers are going to indicate that in the stats. But it's not as you think. When I say shift, don't you think crash like it did in 2008. And that's not the way I want you to think. The industry itself is changing. It's becoming a data-driven industry. Data-driven. How do we know? Well, and actually, I'll tell you this. Chuck Carr and I have jokingly said, we used to say God, family, and then real estate. Now it's God, family, and then data. And whoever has the best data in this market now is going to win. And what we're seeing is companies like SmartZip and companies like Offers can now identify who's most likely going to sell and buy in the next 6 to 12 months. Y'all seen this, right? Predictive analytics. And those companies have been building momentum for the last 5 years. 2 weeks ago, what happened? Amazon announced they're getting into real estate. Wow, that's exciting. That's very exciting. Anybody use Amazon Prime?
Yep.
I mean, I'm on it 2 or 3 times a day. I'll order stuff, forget it. It shows up, and I'm like, man, I know whatever it is, I'm excited about it. I don't even remember what it is, but I know I can't wait to open it and check out. Here's what I needed. But it's great. Somebody, Gene Rivers, was here one time teaching, and he said his son is now ordering potato chips through Amazon. Well, they're getting into real estate. So what do we do? How do we win? We know our competition is not necessarily the agent down the street at ABC Realty, but it's now Amazon. How do we win as a real estate agent in today's market? Well, I'll tell you, I think there's really good news, and I want to introduce you to a new concept. We're going to call it the 3 C's of real estate, or C3. Write this down. C number 1 is going to be customer experience. Who's our new competition? Okay, what's your experience like on Amazon? It's amazing. Is it anything less than amazing? You might have a bad experience with Amazon Prime or something like that. I haven't. In 5 years since I've been a member, I haven't. I love it. And the thing I love about it is they recommend stuff for me before I'm even thinking about buying it. Like, man, you should really think about this. And then, by the way, here are all the top reviews. This is our best seller. Have you thought about buying this? And they're constantly interacting. Now, what's the reverse of that? Somebody calls me this morning, and I respond tomorrow morning. How do you feel? Well, I'm moving on. Amazon's already recommended 5 or 6 new realtors. I'm moving on, right? So you got to raise your game from a customer experience. That's one example of that. But we're going to talk about how to use the data to really enhance that. By the way, this is very exciting. Just a side note. We're getting our own algorithm of predictive analytics through Keller Williams. My hope is they're going to announce at a mega camp. They talked about it at a family reunion. They've been building it. Gary Keller's been putting $60 million a year into this over the last 2 years. We're now a technology company. You will have access to the same information that Amazon does no later than the end of the year, maybe as soon as September. Is that exciting? By the way, your office bill is going to stay the same. You okay with that? Yeah. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? What a great company we work with. C number 2, communication style. If I could give you 4 choices, let's go email, text, phone call, and Facebook. Raise your hand if you prefer a phone call as your communication style. Raise your hand. Okay, look around the room. About a fourth of the room. Put your hands down. Raise your hand if you prefer text message. Look around the room. Raise your hand if you prefer Facebook message. Okay, I knew there'd be at least one, because I get Facebook messages all the time. Raise your hand if you prefer email. Okay? So here's the point. Everyone in your database prefers a different method. You have to adapt because you're in sales and figure out how to communicate at the best level based on that person. Now, if you've got 500 people in your database, that's a huge task. I get it. But figure out how to sprinkle in different communication styles. Social media could be translated as Facebook, whatever that means. But just know that's happening. Your communication style matters. The third C, and this is what Stacy and I talked about as we prepared for this, and this may surprise you, is Chartmasters. It's this. It is. Janice, do you mind hitting that light so we can dim this? Thank you. Now, why would I say Chartmasters is your secret sauce?
Because people, it helps you to explain prices to people better than anybody else can explain.
Absolutely. What does it give you? It gives you a competitive advantage against the Zillows, the Amazons, the Nextdoors. They're not providing hyper-local data and taking that data to their clients and going, hey, I can help you win in any market. I can help. What does win mean, by the way, to the client? Sell faster and for more what? Bingo. Is that not what every seller and every buyer wants to do? So your secret sauce is the hyper-local data and how you use it in your customer experience and your communication style. You got it? 3 C's. We don't need to make it any more difficult or complicated than that. Chartmasters is the company that provides the data. And I had to come up with a creative C. It wouldn't have been the 3 C's if we didn't use Chartmasters. Right? Can you remember that? Can you put your mind around right now to commit all in? How can I use this data? Now, as you hear this again, some of you have heard this presentation since 2004. I want you to hear it again for the first time through this lens. I want you to think about, okay, how am I going to use this practical application to really build a bunker around my customer service experience? How am I going to communicate this at the highest level in various forms so that I'm hitting all of my database and not just the people that I think are going to buy in the next 6 to 12 months? Right? Does that make sense? Does that help? All right, so let's go. The stats, the data.
I don't know how to use the stupid
It really hasn't changed. Do you want to give a clicker?
I hate this thing.
I'll tell you what, you go over there and I'll click.
All right.
The information's the same. It's really old news. It looks about like it did last year with a couple of changes. Okay? The bottom line of this report is median sales price is at an all-time high. Inventory is still at an all-time low. Bottom line. We are in a seller's market. Now, historically, we know at some point markets shift, and what goes up must come what? Down. And so at some point, now when I say shift or when I say down, don't think crash. Just know the market is going to shift at some point. So what do? That we prepare like the market that's coming, not the one we're in. And it's that simple. So let's look at the data. For those of you that this is your first time seeing it, national media coverage gives you what's happening in the U.S. That's not an indication what's happening locally. So what we've done is hired a private statistician to take the Atlanta market and take a look at what's happening locally here So we can help our clients make informed decisions on best price, when to list, all those things. We've had people ask us, can we do like a trend report on a neighborhood? No. What is that called? CMA. That's a comparative market analysis. That's where you drill down. That's where you go in and provide your value as a local expert. And the reason why we can't do that is there's not enough data to track trends quarter over quarter inside neighborhoods. What do you get? We're going through right now the quarterly reports. So you've got the quarter reports on the top. Underneath that, you've got the area reports. When we look at area reports, we go, how does Sandy Springs compare to Roswell? Or Buckhead to Brookhaven? Then you go into the monthly metro market overview, the MMO report. So there's 3 of the 7 reports that you get. You also get a listing presentation with a pre-list packet, by the way. Michael Lewis, this is a really high quality, nice design listing program that's available. You get the buyer presentation. You get lead generation materials. A lot of times when I'm teaching this class on how to use stats to make money, people don't realize that they have lead generation stuff. You actually have 8 postcards that come out every quarter with the same data. What I would do is pick 3 and run 3 a quarter. Use the same 3 every quarter, 4 times a year. You also get for sale by owner brochure. That's a simple questionnaire for sale by owners that you can use to convince them that they don't have any business selling their house on their own. And then you got training online that provides scripts and valuable resources and that sort of thing. One more thing about the 3 C's. Y'all understand that this is an exclusive to KW. You also understand this is not your opinion, it's factual data. So there's some scripts here as to why we should look at the data to help our clients make informed decisions. I just wanted to point that out. So we're not going to use emotion, we're not going to use guesswork, not my opinion. We're going to use factual data to help you make the most amount of money and sell the fastest. Okay? Here are the areas that we're using on these reports. There's 41 FMLS areas. And then this is, if I was asterisking my favorite slides or making note of which ones I would use every time, there's 4 of them. This is the first. Now, why do I like this slide? Here, look, we've been tracking market share since 2004. Keller Williams is in red. If I'm meeting with someone, what would I say? Hey, look, what do you notice? And how would you respond?
Wow.
Why do you say wow? Yeah. Anybody excited about football season?
Absolutely.
Me too. Huge Falcons fan. Huge Falcons fan. Yesterday this weekend we were doing back to school shopping, and we walk into Town Center Mall, and we walk in at the food court, and there's a GameStop right next to as you walk in. And I look over there, and I had to grit my teeth, and I just had to keep walking. I was so mad. I look over there at the GameStop, and there's a poster on the side, and it says, NFL Madden 2018, the GOAT edition. Anybody know what GOAT means? Greatest of all time. Whose picture do you think was on the poster? Tom Brady. Now I'm a huge Falcons fan. Oh, I'm kind of getting flustered right now as I'm thinking about it. My wife and I argue. I think he's the greatest cheater of all time. And she doesn't. She thinks he's the greatest of all time.
Try living in New England, he's everywhere.
I know. So when I look at this slide, if you're going to play in the Super Bowl, do you want to play with Tom Brady or do you want to play with Cam Newton? All right, let me ask you this. All right, that's funny. Who's Cam Newton's backup? Me either. And that's the point. You can play with a starter or you can choose a backup, right? And for those of us that are newer to the industry, even seasoned veterans in the industry, that's a value proposition. You're with the biggest, baddest real estate company on the face of the planet, and we dominated Atlanta. Thank you very much. And by the way, not my opinion. This is straight out of the Atlanta Business Chronicle, right? Love that song. All right, so I told you it's business as usual right now. There's no evidence in any of these stats necessarily that we haven't seen before that's indicating any type of shift. Here it is. Year-to-date sales are up 1.7% over last year. Median sales price, 5.3%. What's the norm? What's normal in a traditional market? Anywhere between 4 and 6. Historically, real estate appreciates median sales price year over year, 4 to 6%. Are we on target? Is that sustainable? Yeah, it's great. It's the norm. Median sales price to list price is actually up. That's a good thing. What does that indicate? Seller's market. Median days on market at 23, down by 8%. So median sales price is up. Days on market is down. Sales price to list price is up. All indicators of what? Seller's market. Seller's market. Hey, median sales price is up. Inventory is extremely low. House on fire. We're at a 10-year. It's been 10 years since we've had a down market. I don't know what next year brings. Better act now. You had a great script on that this morning, right?
Yeah, so how do you communicate this to a seller you're talking to or even a prospect ahead of time? Think about that for just a minute. So can we predict what the market will look like second quarter next year? Can we predict what interest rates will be? With accuracy anyway, right? Can we tell a seller the inventory is still going to be low a year from now? So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, now is the time I can tell you what it looks like, and I'm looking at this data, and it shows me you have every piece of leverage you need to sell for the most money in the shortest amount of time right now. Why would you wait through the winter? Why would you wait for next spring? I can't tell you what it's going to look like, but I can tell you right now we're going to get about 98% of asking price when we price it correctly.
Okay, so who's your competition?
Can Amazon or Zillow tell you that kind of information?
But this is, you having this data, Amazon would go, hey, act now. I think you may need to sell. You may be a candidate to sell. Inventory's low, median sales prices are high. Amazon's going, hey, have you thought about selling? Amazon eventually will get there.
That's the customer experience part, though, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not just, I think you should sell. It's, I think you should sell now, and here's why. Think about how that sets you up as an expert in a way that Zillow and Amazon and all the rest of those guys can't compete.
Yeah. So what happens, this is this great slide, just kind of telling people what's happening. Somebody have a question or a comment?
The important thing is that it's where we set ourselves apart is how we interpret this.
Totally.
Amazon is going to throw out 68 pages. They're going to throw all this up.
Totally.
The average buyer or seller is not going to go through 68 or 69 pages unless they're like an uber data nerd.
That's right.
And even then, it's how you interpret it, and that's really, and you know me enough to say I'm not Mr. Script, but it really is a script of how to simplify this to the person in a very simple form.
And there's, going back to the point earlier, there's 4 slides. I've given you one. There's 3 more, so make sure you note them. Those are the 4 that you're probably going to use every time. And then the rest of the slides are just going to fill the gaps when somebody really needs more data. What kind of behavior is that?
When they need more data, who knows? Everybody's been in the disc class.
C behavior profile.
They're only about 15% of the population.
Chuck gave us this slide probably a year ago. One of my favorite slides. I think this is a great slide for lead gen. If I were you, I would be sending this out probably in an email format to my entire database, about 1,000 people. I'll be sending this out every quarter. Now, it's the same content, but the numbers are different every quarter. That's why I would send the same. The big one that's interesting to me is in 2009, in the peak of the buyer's market, the median sales price was $143. What is it today?
$275.
Okay, so do your clients know that?
Yeah.
Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Really, a better question is, are you telling them that? Or is someone else telling them, right? This is the second slide that I would present and use every time. This is what we called for the last 10 years the American Idol slide or chart. The red bars are the sellers that think they can sell. The blue bars at the bottom are the sellers that actually do sell. What is the green bar in the middle that's running straight across? Balanced market. So if this black line, which is the absorption report, is below the green, what does that tell us, for those of you that have seen this for a while? Seller's market. If it's above the green line, what does that indicate? Buyer's market. Now why? The absorption rate, the easiest way to explain this is, if we stopped taking listings for 3 months, no one took another listing, we would run out of inventory. And it says that 3 months of sales yields the month's supply, which is the black line. That's the absorption report. If it's below the green, seller's market. Above the green is a buyer's market. And you go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and really 7 years, because balanced markets don't last. We've been in a seller's market. Historically, every 7 to 9 years, the market comes up and down. So, again, doesn't matter if you're preparing for the next market now, customer experience, communication style, building a bunker, Chartmasters, all those things.
Think about that statement he just said for a second. Historically, the market changes every 7 to 9 years, and we just showed you 7 years of a seller's market. Plays right into the conversation, right, to get a prospect off the fence. Now is your time. If you wait, it's likely, historically, the market will change and you will lose.
That's good. House on fire urgency for the sellers. Yeah.
When I talk to people, I tell them we have 80,000 people a year that come to our organization. You want to go to Florida like they used to. In California, it's one more to come to Atlanta, each number.
Yep.
They've been doing that since 1993. Do those numbers reflect a continued 80,000 per year number coming to Atlanta or Georgia in particular?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. Chuck would probably be able to give you a better indication, but the number sold hasn't changed. If you go back to the American Idol, I mean, it's roughly the same. Which goes back to the shortage of supply. Right? The real story. This is my favorite slide and would actually be the third one I would use in every presentation. If you start at the top box and you look at the real story, what you have is 100% of the closed listings in the second quarter. All 41 FMLS areas combined, all of the closings. And you got a median sales price to list price, 97.7%, with the average or median days on market, 23. 3 weeks. Now that box can be broken out into 2 different categories. Homes that require price reductions on the left and homes that require no price reduction. Now if you get it right, what do you notice? So as a seller, you sell faster and you net more money. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you see the importance of us getting this right? And we're going to use this hyperlocal data, which only we provide, to help you make the best decision based on your circumstances. Yeah.
I've always struggled with bringing this slide on this presentation because I normally deal with X5s, and at that point, it's like you have to have a price reduction. Is this a slide to bring? Where would you start?
I think this is the best slide to bring, because you go back here, and you go look. I mean, they're already frustrated, so you're their only hope at this point. So if you get it right the first time, you get 100%, 7 days, right price, right agent. Mr. Seller, I'm sorry, I believe we missed that. Okay? Now, depending on where they are, right price, wrong agent, you may be able to help them if you're the second. You know, let's look at the price, and I'm going to help you determine if we got the price right or not. You may have had the wrong agent. And that costs you money, and it also costs you time. You could also have the right agent, wrong price. In this case, you know, I don't know. Let's look at the numbers together. But then finally, wrong price, wrong agent. Now look at the difference. I get 100% sell in 7 days, right price, right agent. If you're showing up as an expired, I can still help you get 98.8% if we decide you're at the right price. It may be staging, it could be colors, it could be whatever, right? And I'll help you determine that. Or we could be down here in the red. Now the good news is you're still selling here. So if I'm landing a plane, this is landing on the runway, this is landing in a field, this is in the Hudson River. You're still landing, but it's not very convenient.
So, so when looking at the days on market, and you're talking to the expired, would you subtract the days that they've been on market from that average? So just to give them a time frame that you're trying to either match or beat.
Yeah, well, there's another slide that I think is better. I think you set the stage with this, and then just continue telling the story, and then you can plug in numbers.
And if they're an expired, you know they got the wrong agent. I mean, that's so.
Yeah.
It's real easy to sell yourself.
Well, you know, they may not know. They may be interviewing you and re-interviewing. How many times have you called an expired and they say, I'm going to list with the same agent? Right? That's real. Yeah. Look at this. This is the same slide where you can enter your price range and it changes the data. So notice we put in 5 here, price range, which is 500 to 750. You notice the difference? Look at the top box. 97.7% here. That's the entire Atlanta market. This is the price range from 500 to 750. You can go one step further on this interactive slide with area and price. So now in 131, price range 500 to 750, the average is 94.6 in 30 days, but we can sell it in 5 for 98.2. Do the math on that. Who's good at math? Do it real quick. What's the difference? If I get 98.2 of 500 compared to 94.6, how much am I actually making? $20 grand?
We need a math class.
Hey, I can make you $20,000 extra dollars. How's your experience?
22,000.
I'm just going to tell you face to face. Is that all right? I can save you 20 grand. How are you doing? How are you going to do that? I'm going to use hyperlocal data. Amazon can't do that. Right? Yeah.
So we were just comparing to first quarter stats, and it's been cut in half on no price reduction.
Yep.
So the total, the top box was, if you skip back a slide maybe to not having a certain price point, it was 96.3 sales to list price and 41 days on market, and now it's 23. And then for the green box, it was 99% sales to list price in 13 days, and now it's 7 days. So even though some of those higher price points, which I'm sure we'll see later, are ticking up in days on market, that's really interesting that it's still in the thick of the summer.
Yeah, and Chuck would say, look at it from a standpoint of quarter over quarter of the previous year to get a true comparison, which takes out the seasonality, but great point. I mean, you just want to make sure you're comparing second quarter to second quarter, because sometimes that seasonality can throw your numbers a little bit to get a true measure of trend.
But I think even that plays into what we've been talking about, first quarter, it took a little bit longer, and you got a little bit less of your original asking price, and you're gonna see as we go further into the data, the two things that Chuck says very clearly. They're selling a little faster, and the inventory has continued to stay low. It still plays into the house on fire, get it done now for sellers, right? And I think that data even plays right into that.
Failed listings. You know, 1 out of 4 still fails. That's lower than it's been in a while. Price reductions, you still got a total failed listing percentage higher in the 700 to a million, and then 1.5 million. That hasn't changed. Basically the same year over year. This is the final slide that I would use. We call it the bubble chart. And again, all it's showing is that 1 out of 4 listings failed completely. So you go back to the game board and you talk about landing in the Hudson River. 1 out of 4 chance that you don't land at all. God rest your soul, right? So you're playing a deadly game. Like, we have to make sure we're priced right and we show well based on actives and comps. Interesting to note that 2 out of 4 got it right the first time. Really, that tells us 2 things. Number 1, as an industry, we're probably getting better at pricing. And number 2, inventory is truly at an all-time low. You can also do this by price range and area. Yeah, I said 4. This is really the 5th. And to me, this slide, my concern, I lose sleep at night thinking that y'all aren't using this. Now, I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you.
How many people actually do use this in a listing presentation?
Put your hand up. Raise your hand if you use this in a listing presentation. Okay. Now look, God love you. I'm telling you, your competition is Amazon. This is extremely value to the health of your listing inventory. Extreme value. Your sellers are going to make more money and they're going to sell faster when you provide them the hyperlocal data. And this one chart makes it super simple.
How many of you have to have arguments with your sellers about the right price?
Come on.
This room needs to raise their
Come on.
hand.
Y'all are
This is
crazy.
your way out of that problem.
Y'all are crazy. If y'all aren't, it's because you're not taking any listings. That's why. If you're not, yeah, that's the problem. This slide is amazing. The thing I love about it is you can actually put area in. If you look at the left-hand column, this is the seller's desired price. Generally, you go into a listing presentation and you know what they're expecting or hoping to get, right? So in the yellow box, you just put that number, and then all of the other boxes auto-populate. Hello, super simple. Then you put your desired, your suggested market price. All of these numbers auto-populate. You can even put their monthly carrying cost in, and it tallies that. And in this case, a seller lists for $40,000 less, $500 versus their desired price of $540, and with carrying costs included, they netted $21,717.
These are real numbers, you guys. It comes straight out of the data. This is the single most compelling conversation you can have with a seller about getting it priced right the first time. Word of advice, because I've messed this up, do this worksheet before you go. Fill it out with them while you're sitting there, but make sure you know what the numbers are going to be, because if it comes out $4 difference, it's not really a very good conversation, is it?
Take carrying costs out of the equation and still make money.
In a fraction of the time, and that's the biggest thing. You're talking about a difference here of almost 5 months. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, wouldn't you rather just show your house for 9 days than 145 and have to keep it clean? The whole separate value beyond the price and the money.
So here's what I want you to think of. Again, communication style. you know, you may be sitting there thinking, like, I could really use this on a presentation. I want you to use it every day. Like, don't wait to get to the listing table to use something like this. Post on Facebook right now during my presentation, and I'll know that's what you're doing, Keisha, right, when you're posting. And you'll just go, look, I just figured out how to make a seller $22,000 more on one sale. If you're interested, private message me.
How about this one? How often does somebody say, well, how's the market? Aren't you in real estate? Funny you should ask. It's less than 3 months inventory right now. Stuff's flying off the shelf when you get it positioned right. Let's schedule a time to talk about how we can do that for you.
Love it. So those are the top 5 slides. The bottom line is, if I was you, if I were in your shoes, I would be taking every listing I could get my hands on. I would be circle prospecting like crazy. I'd be calling my database. I would be screaming at the top of my lungs that median sales price is higher than it's ever been, and inventory is extremely low, and we don't know what's coming. Please list your house now if you're considering it. With that in mind, though, when I get to the presentation, I would be educating them to the 10th degree on price, the importance of price. When you get it wrong, what happens? This is weeks on market, and this is true. You've heard this in theory, that if you get the price right in the beginning, your best offers are going to come in the first week or two. You've heard that in theory. This is real Atlanta data. So this is not, again, not your theory, not your opinion, not your best guess. This is true. And that's an easy slide you could use if you needed it with the seller. Price reductions. What do you notice here? Second quarter, what do you notice? Over second quarter of last year.
So that's price reductions.
What's up? Interesting about that is when you look by price range, what is different here quarter over quarter? 300 to 400. For those of you that said, hey, I'm feeling the seasonality of my business, you betcha. You are. That feeling is real. In the spring market, you may have required more price reductions. Why? Anybody having appraisal issues? Oh, yeah. 10 of you just went, yes. You know, I was having a conversation with someone earlier about squirrely buyers. Multiple offer situation, and I'm having multiple buyers back out because they found something better or better options or, you know, whatever. They're just nervous. Banks are a little bit nervous. Prices are going too high. Median sales price is too high. The appraisers that I've spoken to are getting feedback from the bank that they are nervous. So just be aware, right?
John?
Yes.
I think that because of us saying and the media saying, oh, everything is better, sellers think that their houses just are more expensive or worth more, and they're not. And so you have to go into those price reductions because you always tell them, oh, the market is great. So when they tell you, oh, you need to price it at 500,000, and they want to price it at 550, and say, you know what, let's try it for a week or two. Then you need to start reducing the price because you're not in a realistic price.
Yeah.
I can see a tremendous amount of price reduction throughout the market in a lot of areas, and all the way to $200,000.
Yeah.
Not even $300,000.
Well, just know it's creeping down into a lower price range, which has not been our norm. Remember, it was a tale of two markets, really, as far back as I can remember, the last 2 or 3 years. 500, luxury, anything above 500 was requiring price reductions, taking longer to sell. Anything below 500, well, now it's getting lower into the 300 and 400 range. So just be aware. Just be aware, and learn to have better conversations on the front end. And I always say early and often, like communicate early and often. Have conversations before you get to the table. at the table the first week. You know, make it your priority with your clients to talk at least once a week. Time block for it. Wednesday. Hey, I'm just watching the market. I noticed we hadn't sold. It's been a week. We may want to consider a price reduction. I know we talked about that a couple times before, but homes are selling in 7 days when they're priced right. Right? I love this slide because it tells you, this takes the guesswork out of what I reduce it to. Just look at the percentage by price range. If I'm in that 500 to 750, about 5% is the level of production. Some sellers will say, well, let's just reduce it 10,000 just to get to the top of FMLS or whatever. Well, same buyer pool. Hard price points, which we talked about before, is another example, price brackets. Price reduction effect, days on market. Look at this by price range. No price reduction. Let's take the 300 to 500. 9 days it sells. If you get it wrong, it's 112 days. Major difference, right? Million plus, if you're playing in that luxury market, 24 days versus 266, major difference. Yeah.
And the argument is that with July and August is slow anyway, and things will be better in September.
Why would they say that? Have you gone through the data with them?
Yeah, no, and I've had these charts, but I'm listening to tell them how to use that.
You know, talk with Stacy too about behavior and how to present it. Maybe his behavioral type. You know, find out how to help him win if he's a D or C or yeah. There you go. Send in the whole package, all 172 slides. Tell him you'll call him tomorrow. Yep, I'm gonna send you all that. I just got my hands on this today. Send it to him. Question? Bingo. I love that. Yeah, what is their motivation, right? That's critical. And just have better conversations on the front end. You know, overpriced listings, I've always viewed it. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I've always viewed this as I'm a consultant. It's your decision. It's your house. I can show you how to net $22,000 more using real data and factual information. But if you're telling me you have to move by September and you want to overprice and try it, great. Let's agree in 7 days we'll drop the price if it's not sold based on the data. I'm in. You try it. Your loss. I'm warning you. I'm the consultant. You're going to make less, but if that's your choice, the question I would always ask myself is, did I have the conversation about the data and provide enough valuable information so that they get the best customer experience, right? Sales price to list price based on price reduction versus not. Again, most of this information is basically the same as it was last year at this time. Price reduction effect based on days on market, same thing. I love this slide. I've always felt like, you know, we cannot undersell your home. And how do I know that? 33% of all listings sell at 100% or higher. We can underprice it to get traffic, but if we get it too low, it'll be bid back up. 1 out of 3 is bid back up. This is new versus resale. Just an interesting slide to show, you know, still 30% of resale homes sell at 100% or higher. Days on market for sales at 100%. Look at that 750 to 100. What does that tell you? Those of you that are playing in that price range, what does that tell you? The standing inventory must be crap. It must be bad.
It's huge.
There must be not a lot of good inventory in that price range. Are you seeing
It's
that?
overbuilt.
It's overbuilt?
It's overbuilt. There's too much standing inventory.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because the land costs are so high, you've got to have less than 30% of the land cost.
Takeaways from this? Recap on the summary?
Oh, you're looking at me? All right, so think about all the stuff we've talked about and look at the summary slide. Year-to-date sales are up compared to second quarter last year. The median sales price is higher. The percentage you're going to get of your list price is higher. Days on market is down. It all plays back into that same conversation when we talk about customer experience. This is where you have the opportunity to beat all of those other big guys like Amazon, like Zillow, like everybody else that wants to jump into the market and fling data everywhere. Your opportunity is to be the person who's different, who provides the real customer service with the interpretation. If you don't do anything else, this summary slide is your conversation framework, right? It lays everything out for you. The supply at the bottom, down 4.6% to 2.7 months supply. We haven't seen numbers like that in I don't know how long, certainly not in the years I've been in real estate. This is your conversation framework for every single seller, for lead generation conversations that you're going to have, for party conversations when somebody asks you what the market looks like. Because this is the compelling data that sets you up as the expert.
Are my kids the only one that, like, before we go to my parents' house for dinner or whatever, they'll find like 5 or 6 jokes, and they'll, prep them in their mind, and that becomes their dinner conversation. Hey, you heard this one? Tell me if you heard it. That's all. That you just print this, study it, read it, reread it. What are 2 or 3 talking points when somebody says, "How's the market?" You got it.
And for most clients, personality profile-wise, that's all you need.
Yeah. And pick the ones that you believe in. Don't pick the one that you don't understand. I think all of them are easy to understand, but if you have a good story about one that really drives a point, pick that one.
Can you explain price reductions? If it's higher at 33% of the second quarter 2007.
We just required more price reductions by 1.2%.
So more closed listings had to have a price reduction than this time last year.
By 1.2%. So it upticked just a little bit.
From last year.
From second quarter of last year.
Okay.
There's tons of supplemental materials. Before I go in that, one more question.
Yeah, I have a question about the price reduction. So how do you reconcile that with a statement that the median prices are at an all-time high?
Right.
And, we've had more time to go back to the price reduction.
You still have to be priced right and staged right. I mean, you look at sold comps and you look at active comps. And once you've married those two, you want to be priced best and show the best. And just, have those conversations on the front end. Hey, listen, the propensity is to want to try the market, test the market to get the most amount of money. Let me just warn you, that's extremely dangerous. And it could potentially cost you $21,000. May I show you a quick slide that sort of illustrates that?
So probably what's happening is the price reductions is just so low inventory. The sellers are thinking that they're going to get more money.
Yeah, they're testing the market.
They're testing the market, so that's why we're seeing a difference between the first quarter stat 2016 and 2017.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big eyes.
Hey, I just looked to the back of the room and I just noticed that the wizard, Chuck Carr himself, just walked in. So let's say thank you to Chuck. Chuck is the guy that created these stats back in 2004. He's also an agent. His wife's an agent here, actually in this office, and they brought this material to the Rawls Group back in 2004. So shake his hand before you leave. Supplemental material, monthly sales. You can look. Actually, monthly sales quarter over quarter are down. I'll show you that in a second. Stacy had some good points around that. Numbers sold by price range. Again, here it is, actually, down from 15,880 to 15,681. I don't think Clark Davies in the room, but I've heard him say before, winter is the new spring, which I think we saw that because first quarter numbers sold were up, and I think that's been our message. Plus, Stacy said this morning, we didn't have a true winter. You remember? It never got real cold this year.
So you didn't have people hibernating on a day that there were 4 snowflakes, right? I think you had a change. I think we've been telling people for years with this data, talk to them about taking advantage of the early spring market. Don't wait till there's high competition. I think that probably played into it too, because we've seen the listings in our office and across the market have dropped. And the other cool thing that I wonder that impacts some of this, how many of you have heard a seller say, well, I'll list after I find the new house because I'm scared I can't find anything else, right? I think that's playing into this stuff too, because we have sellers afraid to pull the trigger because they're afraid they can't find the next best thing. How do you create a customer experience around that objection?
What? Say it again?
Rent, that's the kind of thing.
What about you?
Did you hear Susan?
What?
Or not, to find their next house.
Love it. Circle prospecting, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. What about your mobile app? Are you truly, like a rhetorical question, but are you truly using and giving your mobile app to people? A friend of mine from Texas last night called me. They're moving to New York, and they couldn't remember how to get into my mobile app, and so I walked them through it. But they remembered that they had it. Well, guess what I'm going to get by referring them to New York? 25% on about a $900,000 house. Not bad. Mobile app.
Yeah.
Mobile app. Thank you very much. $3,000. Mobile app. Yeah.
I use that actively, but I would say if you could convince your client to maybe drop it for a minute after you're under contract on a house, because I had one that went under contract and then we pulled out and ended up purchasing another house. Luckily, she didn't continue to do it because she had seen another house pop up on the app in the process.
That's about knowing your client's personality and figuring out how to manage it.
Yeah.
Chuck, is there anything you would add on this? Second quarter, we were down year over year and number sold.
Some for the transaction process would be up somewhat, but probably be above what it was last year at this time.
Yeah. So last year at this time, we were up 8.5% over the previous quarter, 2015, which was up 15.2%. Is that likely because it's not sustainable?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Just the inventory situation is so low.
Interesting. Something to watch for sure. Distressed sales are irrelevant.
Although I see more foreclosures,
You're seeing them coming?
and I see more short sales as well, obviously not anywhere close, but I see way more foreclosures coming. You see the old listing agents that used to do that coming back on.
So what's an action item around that?
Sellers need to know that, they're coming back and they need to price themselves accordingly. So they'll be optimizing for the next foreclosure coming. They're able to.
Other action items?
Calling the bankers.
I would. If the bankers are concerned about median sales price being too high and you're starting to see foreclosures, maybe that's a good strategy. Just at least, dust off the relationship. Supply of listings in months continues to be in a seller's market. No surprise. Median sales price, again, all-time high. All-time high.
You're talking to someone in 500-600.
I like this. You go back to this slide. I just think it's a conversation piece. Forget about a presentation. My message as a professional in the real estate industry would be median sales price in Atlanta is higher than it's ever been, and inventory is extremely low. And the scary thing is we don't know what's going to happen because we're about at that point in the history of real estate where the market should shift. So if I'm thinking about selling right now, I'd sell. I'd move. I wouldn't wait. You could wait 6 months and be in trouble. I don't know, But if you're thinking about selling, like, let me come over, let's look at it.
John, is median sale price right now higher than 2007?
Higher. Here it is. Is the median sales price right now higher than 2007?
Yes.
Okay, 2007, I can't even read this. 2007 is this color right here.
Looks like 15 at best.
I think it's this one. Chuck, is that right?
Yeah. I think it was 150.
But you could do this. Let's look at this one. This is the interactive, right? The red is today, 2007. Oh, wait. 2007. There you go. Thank you, Heather Cummings, for suggesting that we do this. And thank you, Chuck Carr, for making it happen.
So what does that say?
So 2007, if you bought a house in June of 2007, your median sales price at that time in the Atlanta market was $239. Today, it's $275. So you potentially have about $35,000 in equity. Now, we can go deeper by coming out and do a comparative market analysis. What's better for you? Can I come this afternoon at 1 or this afternoon at 1:30? Joanne.
I heard a great workaround with that. Some people are sending those out, the whole one, online, for an anniversary of every year after you.
Love it.
Yep.
That's a great idea.
Isn't that fabulous?
That's great.
How about that to stay in touch with your database, not just the anniversary, but even a conversation today?
Yeah.
Let me show you how much more your house is worth. You have equity and there's no inventory.
Customer experience, right? If you're not doing it, someone else will. Yeah.
I think the key point to use with that now, and I think it goes back to why there's so many pricer options, is that somebody's going to look at that information and say, great, I bought my house new in 2007, and I haven't touched a single thing, and now I can sell it for $40,000 more.
Okay, who's the consultant?
Right, but I'm saying that you have to use good information, saying, okay, that's great, this is a baseline with everything, and
Right.
it does depreciate.
Right.
But we still need to get it in the best condition in order to get to the best price.
To me,
That's where people have been saying, well, but the market's just gone up this much, let's try this higher price.
this, you know what this is to me? This is your I'll sell your house or I'll buy it technique. This is your mofer. All I'm trying to do is get it. I want to sit at your kitchen table and go through what your home is worth. You know, but median sales price is up over $100,000 since the buyer's market. You know, do you know what your home is worth? Let me come in and sit down. I'll sell your house or I'll buy it. It's your call to action.
Contemplating an offer and saying I don't want to go too high because I don't know how much the market shifts and I don't know how much it's going to appreciate. And it's like, you know, the only thing they can tell us was that, you know, the average appreciation of a house in the middle of the market, but of course we can't predict what the future market will be.
Yeah, I would just, I mean, again, everybody's going to have different conversations, and this goes back to which slides do I use at what time, which means you have to study all the slides, probably have 4 to 5 that you use all the time, and then, you know when to pull other slides.
The summary at the end goes into what you should, the conversations you should have with a buyer around why realistic offers matter right now. It's at the end of the supplemental.
Is that it's
At the end of the supplemental material, there's a slide that actually says, what does this mean to a seller and what do we have to think about? And then at the bottom, what does it mean for a buyer? And one part of the conversation is because inventory is low, because this is an extreme seller's market at this point in time, you can't get away with a lowball. You're going to have to provide a realistic offer if you want to get the house because this data shows us how and why they're selling.
And, you know, those conversations, again, Elaine, you go back to knowing what slides to use at what time. National markets shift gradually and then suddenly. because all the information's gathered and collected in arrears. The local markets happen fast. They shift fast. Nobody in this room in 2006 knew that the residential market in August of 2007 was going to implode. I mean, we were riding high in 2006. We were riding high. I was having the best year of my life from January through July of 2007. And then in August, Home Bank went bankrupt, and the next 4 months were miserable. Miserable. Y'all remember? Those of you that are in the business? Fast. I mean, it was 1 month. So to answer your question, the seller goes, well, I'm just going to wait. Great. You ever play Russian roulette? It's what it's like. I mean, it's your money, your house, but that's going to be what it's like. Where were we? Distress sales, median sales price, change in medians, median's price. Percentage of original list price, we saw that earlier, just year over year. Again, a little bit, slight uptick there. By price range, same information by price range. Interesting to note, again, that 300 to 500 price range is down slightly. Days on market, down. Days on market in the upper price range is actually up. Shocker. I love this. This goes back to the GOAT, edition. Keller Williams actually sells more of their homes than any other broker in Atlanta. That's real data. Chances are we're going to sell it anyway.
Well, Mark Spain is claiming to do that these days.
Karen.
Do you remember a few team meetings ago you showed the Keller Williams versus Atlanta slide about the billion something or other? Would you send that out or have Bailey send that out?
Yeah.
It's a powerful one to go with this one as well.
Is anybody on the leadership team other than me and Stacey here? Yeah. Fiona, would you send that to Bailey and just ask her to resend? That should be, Karen, I don't know where, but it should be on the internet.
Okay.
But we'll resend it out. Numbers sold by quarter. This is what we just saw before. Again, slight downturn. But look, year over year, we're still up. So again, winter is the new spring. I think people realized that and started listing their house earlier this year. What does that really mean? You reap what you sow. Today's seeds are tomorrow's flowers, right? So if you wait till January to start jumping up and down and providing a great customer experience, you're in trouble because you've missed the spring market, which is clearly starting sooner. So when's the time to start, really providing a great customer experience? So, yeah, yesterday was the best time. Today's the second best time, right? Shift considerations, again, in this information, there's really not anything to watch for except for that interesting piece about the price reductions in the 300 to 500 range. You go back and you just paint again. You have two shifts, a seasonal shift. Winter comes every year, right? Happens every year. Crazy. Historical shift, which says every 7 to 9 years. Bob Kalinsky was in here the other day. When did they start recording real estate? 1940s, late 1940s. They started providing information in 1952. And if you look at from 52 to today, the market has gone like this about 5 to 6 times. And then the last time it went way down here. And that's the biggest crash we've ever had. That crash hopefully is not the norm. If we see another shift, it's hopefully just a blip. But just be aware, you're acting as if the blip is coming. Whether it comes or not is irrelevant. One more thought on that, just food for thought, is to me, from my perspective, a shift in the market, a downturn in the market, is not only a good thing, a phenomenal thing. A phenomenal thing. Because when it doesn't shift, guess who gets in the business? Amazon, Zillow, all these companies. Zillow wasn't around in 2006. Are you kidding me? You know the expansion partners that are expanding from Portland, Oregon to this office? Who's on the United Home Group team? Anybody here? We have 4 agents that are on Cody Gibson's team out of Portland, Oregon. Well, the only reason why the expansion model was created was in the downturn because Gary Keller started teaching people how to do it. So the shift is a really good thing. It allows you to gain market share, but you have to do the work. If you don't do the work, then you should panic. But you do the work now.
I got into real estate in July of 2011, and everybody I talked to said, you're crazy. The market's terrible, you won't make any money, you're gonna die. And my sponsor actually sat me down when we first talking about it. He said, no, great opportunity for that reason, because all of the hobbyist part-timers are getting out because they can't make any money. And you gotta learn how to do it right. And if you don't learn how to do it right, you don't survive, which means when the market grows, sky's the limit for you because you've already set the systems. You figured out the customer experience. You figured out how to communicate with people. So up or down market doesn't make any difference. It's about this. You will make your money because of the supply and demand of the number of agents. But doing the work now while the business is high, doesn't matter what happens tomorrow.
Month supply, this is just another way of looking at the American Idol chart based on price range. You've got comparison to last year, same thing. Distressed versus non-distressed. Forget who we were talking earlier. You know, how do I coach a seller if the median sales price is up? What do I coach him to do? Well, it's a price war and a beauty contest is what we've always said. You got to be priced the best and show the best. And oftentimes, and there's in the listing materials, Chuck has put a phenomenal slide in there, or Barbara or somebody did, that shows staging, the return on investment, how much you'll spend on painting, carpet, kitchen update, bathroom remodel, and then the return you should expect. And so one of the things we've always said, you can go back and read Shift. It's great. I think this is actually in Shift. But a gallon of paint is worth $30 in the store and worth thousands of dollars on the wall, right? So little things like that and knowing how to make your home show the best and stand out based on the competition is part of your customer experience. That Amazon can't do, by the way. Amazon can't do that. Or Zillow. I haven't read this.
All right, this is what the lady
Sorry.
Okay, I read it. So the overall market observations tracks with everything we just talked about, right? That the days on market is down, the median price is up, all of those things are where they need to be. The number of active listings is historically low. It's still your storyline for people, but here's where it gets good. This is why this matters. Sellers are being tempted to take advantage of the stronger market and they're listing at higher prices. There's the summary of why we're seeing that rise in price reductions, right? Downward pressure from distressed properties above $100,000 is pretty much eliminated, meaning we don't have to worry about that at the higher price points. Still, the storyline now is the time to sell before more of those happen, right? Despite the temptation for sellers to price higher, setting realistic initial listing prices offers the best strategy. And you go right back to that, the case for getting it right the first time. It's your data story for why it makes the difference to price it. But we've talked all the way through so far about how to use this for a listing. The bottom of this slide is one of my favorites. How does this apply to a buyer? How many of you have buyers that can't find a house because they keep writing lowballs? I know a bunch of my agents in coaching are struggling with this, right? Show them the same data because what you're showing them is this is why the seller doesn't like your lowball. It's why they won't even counter you. They will not respond. You have to provide a realistic offer.
Love it.
And that's what this says clearly. This is one of my favorite slides.
Luxury home information. If you're a luxury member, they do an entire presentation on this. Just for the purposes of this, we have 10 minutes left. I'm going to go to area. Just know that it's there. Area comparison. I just want to make you aware that this is here. If you want to drill down into any MLS area and look at that data, it's available to you. And it's wonderful. So if you take 121 and 131 on this chart, numbers sold 218 and 121 and 116 and 131. Now you can look over year and compare the difference in the old stats that are there. Or you can look at percent change in the number sold here. 121 and 131 are up somewhere between 0 and 10% based on this slide. Number sold. 9% in 121 and 1% in 131. Look at Vinings. Vinings is up 160%.
Yeah.
That's like one sale though. It's one sale. Maybe, right, Chuck? Yeah, maybe two. Distressed sales, it's a percentage. If you're working with an investor, here's a great slide. Right? We've taken all the guesswork out of investing. Like, hey, what do you want to look? Let's look at the areas that are probably have the best opportunity for growth. If you're looking at the middle line on these charts, by the way, this is the median. So total distress percentage of sales is 2.8. But you look at area 42, 13.2% in area 42 are distressed.
We'll go back to the same thing it was for the same area that we're discussing.
Foreclosure percentage of sales, interesting.
Same area, 42.
Yeah, same. Short sale percentage of sales, shocker, same. Median sales price. So the Atlanta's 268. So if you look at somebody that's looking to buy in the Dunwoody, Sandy Springs area, they can only spend up to, $500, may not be able to afford to live in that area. And this may be a chart that you use with them in a presentation to go, hey, look, I'm going to do my best to find what you're looking for, but I don't want you to waste time. Have you ever thought about East Cobb? Or have you ever thought about Brookhaven? Or have you ever thought about other areas that maybe provide other opportunities? Median sales price based on area. Look at 131 is 562. Look at Buckhead, 850. Change in median sales price based on area. Again, the overall market is at 5.3%, and then you drill down, take a look at, is it 131 that's up 11.2%? Am I reading that right? But 121 is 4.1%.
And 22 is negative 29. That's Buckhead, isn't it?
No, 21 is Buckhead.
22 is?
21, right?
What's 22?
What is area 22? Does anybody know? In town?
Atlanta, north of I-20.
Okay. Right there. Just south. It's south of Vinings and Buckhead.
Yeah.
Where's that, like Bolton?
Yeah.
Bolton Road. Days on market. Obviously, the higher the median sales price, the longer it takes to sell. Change in days on market. 121, again, up 78%. Isn't this great?
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. To me, it takes all the guesswork out of you being the expert. You just got to go in and study it.
Super fun.
It is. And
I'm weird like that. I think these numbers are fascinating.
And real estate is sexy. Like, when you... Everybody wants to talk about real estate, am I right? You go to a party, it's just a sexy conversation, Are you buying or selling? Are you thinking about... Yeah, do that in the sexy voice again. Who was that? Hey.
I said, it gets me all hot and bothered.
Yeah, there you go. Who knew stats could be so fun?
He's got a Snapchat for voice, so your voice is a little sexy.
There you go. Now I'm blushing. Sales and original list price, again, 97.7%. You can compare by area. Same thing there. Incidence of price reductions. Some of them are outpacing the market. Look at all of the orange required less price reductions. Hotter area, potentially, right? Same with some of the Cobb area. Interesting. Percent of sales with multiple listing periods. You know, go back to, Richard, your expireds. This is a great slide to identify maybe where to target expireds. Jorge, you got a light bulb there, huh? There you go.
He's getting excited, yeah.
By the way, have you met Jorge?
Yeah.
Are y'all doing expired calls together?
Not together.
Well, you should. Yeah, you should. His scripts are amazing. Yeah. Really. There you go. All right, so
I'll go back to failed listings.
failed listings.
Is that the same as the expireds? What does that mean?
Yeah, it is.
It didn't sell the first time.
Oh, okay. That's a good slide.
Great slide. This is the other one. I love this slide because it allows you to put multiple areas in and compare those areas to the general market. Same thing on this. Anytime you see a yellow box like that, it's an interactive slide. All right.
Very good.
Was that helpful?
Yes.
Let's get some ahas and ideas. What did you hear in that?
Motivate your salary.
I love it.
Motivate your salary.
Which really means do what?
Your job. Show them the track.
Number 2, communicate, right?
Yeah.
You got to communicate. You need to be communicating with everybody you know this information. What else?
Carrie, you have something? I was just gonna say that I think that the market leveled off over the last year.
Leveling.
So 15 compared to 2016, you tried year-over-year level.
Look, numbers sold, if you go back to 15 and you look at that second quarter number, and we were at 16% increase year over year, that is not sustainable. Sustainable is between 4 and 6%. So it is leveling off. What else?
The shift in the market every 7 to 9 years, and we're in year 7.
Historical shifts. Yep. What else? So, panic. Should we all run and curl up in the corner with a blanket? Put our thumb in our mouth? What do you do?
Don't take listings.
And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, right? Just do your job. Yeah.
50% sell, 50% don't.
That's right. Yeah.
Side you want to be on.
50% sell for the most money and the best time, 50% don't. Yeah. 1 out of 2. It's either me or you, right?
So like the idea that like hope isn't a strategy. So like,
Hold on, listen to this. Stand up and talk to them. So that yeah. This is good. He started really good. It's good.
So like the idea that that hope isn't a strategy. So around this time, I don't know if anybody calls this fire. Around this time, people are they were promised that over the summer when everybody got to school and the best time to sell, and their house didn't sell. So now they're just like, okay, we're gonna put it off to the side and hope that next spring is gonna be better. So hope isn't a strategy. You know, right now is the best that it's gonna be, or the best that it is right now to take advantage of a good sell. So
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Take action now, yeah.
Yeah, nobody's gonna talk about
Lakeisha.
You gave us an awesome, unique value proposition, which is C3.
Yep.
I'm really gonna use that and start, just expressing more of my value to my customers.
And
Love
also the summary page of Chartmasters breaks down everything you really need to tell them in a nutshell. You know, the market is up, what, 5.3% sales price, median sales price over last year.
Love it.
You know, we know it's sustainable now for 6%, and we also know
Stand up
that.
and say everything you already said, we couldn't hear.
Stand up here.
I was saying that John gave us an awesome, unique value proposition with this C3 here, and I think we should take that and use it to just kind of promote our value to our clients over the Amazons of the world, over the Zillow Qs of the world. And also, I would say in the summary page in Chartmasters is the key slide you guys need to take to your clients. Everybody doesn't feel comfortable with going through all those slides, but that summary page really breaks down the key points you need to mention to them and kind of make them realize, like, we're up median sales price 5.3% over last year. That's something we need to think out to our clients. We're down on days on market 8% from last year. We're at 23 days on market now versus last year. So that's some really valuable information.
Love it. Good job. What else? Yes, Karen.
May I share a script that
Yeah.
Tom Rolls said a
Please.
while ago about stats?
Stand up so everybody can hear you in the back.
My accountability partner, Carrie, and I have been working on our stat script for our sellers, and I was listening to an old recording of Sean Rawls, who used to do this presentation. So this might be something you want to write down to record. It's a script that he used to share about why to use stats, or actually it's not a script, I'm sorry, it's the mindset of why you use stats. So he said, the more you and I can talk about and consult with you, Mr. Seller, about the market, the less I have to talk with them about their specific house. And then in some ways we can challenge them to be one of the great houses on the market and not talk about whether or not your house is great or not, your particular house. So in the conversation, if we have a 30,000 foot conversation about what we're seeing in the market, the longer I talk about the numbers, the less I offend you about your particular house. And the more you're gonna like me and I build more credibility in that perspective. So he said, go for the home factor of the, oh, I agree. And then we can work together and collaborate if we're just really presenting the numbers and less about their particular house.
Love it. Harrison.
I guess with all those stats, if you're working with buyers, you can also convert that and show them, so you can put them in better light in a multiple offer situation for a house. So I think
So
for me.
the mantra I want you to walk out of here is today's seeds are tomorrow's flowers. And I want you to, with house on fire urgency, think about what you would like your business to look like at the end of this year. Essentially, you have 5 months to get there. So who are you becoming in the next 5 months as it pertains to the C3? Then I want you to create a plan. So if you're thinking about bold and you're thinking about be, do, have, who are you becoming by the end of the year? And then what do you need to do to get there? Set yourself up for winter is the new spring. Don't wait. Promise me. Agents historically, around middle to end of October, start taking the year off. Wrong. I think you would be doing yourself, your family, your business a huge detriment if you stopped. Ramp it up, raise it up, and provide amazing value using what we talked about today. You know, you could drop that summary page. You could do social post, social post, social post, social post, and then up, stat, one stat. And then social, 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 another stat. Social, 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 stat. Right? And just eventually people are going to go, man, they're brilliant. If I'm going to sell my house, I'm just going to call them. Right? That's what Amazon does. Hey, think about buying this, think about buying this. And then I had this is crazy. I was in my car with my son, just he and I. My phone, I've got one of those magnets, so I put it on the dashboard, and it just sits there, it's listening to us, okay? Having a conversation with my son about how we connect with my daughter, who's 12, in that new stage, right? And one of the things he said is, you know what we can do? We could get her a basketball goal. And then, because she likes basketball, and we could put the basketball goal in the driveway and we can play basketball, and she loves doing that. I was like, you know what, Jude, that's actually really smart. We should get a basketball goal.
Sweet.
Well, I was with Jude for the next probably 3 to 4 hours, and one of the things we try not to do is use our phone in front of them. Like, we don't want to ever be those parents or kids that are, both glued to our phones. So about 4 hours later, I'm by myself, and I pull out my phone and I go directly to Facebook. Now, I hadn't used my phone in about 4 hours. Guess what showed up in my Facebook feed? A whole slew of basketball goals. I'm scrolling through and I get to the part where there's the ads. Here's a basketball goal, basketball goal, basketball goal. Now, I was a little bit nervous. I was like, wait a second. So I immediately turned Siri off because I thought Siri may be the culprit. The reason I tell you that story is you have to think that way, so that you put yourself in front of them in the industry is shifting, and forget about whether the economy is or not. It's a data-driven industry, and you have to become a competitor who rivals Amazon and Facebook who's listening. And you're going to get the data. The question is, how do you use it? The data that gives you the advantage, in my opinion, is the hyper-local data that helps clients make informed decisions to make more money and sell or buy faster. So that's it. Y'all have a great day. Thank you. Hey, say hello to Stacy, by the way, and welcome her to the team. So thank y'all.
As always.
I love you. I love your
Sorry, I was texting. I got 2 referrals.
Oh no, I was messing with you. Come on,
I got a lender referral and a referral from another agent.
I was messing with you.
I'm not even leaving. That's why I was texting. I'm like, can I call you at work and see? That presentation.
Yeah.
Do you have it where you can send it to
Yeah.
like forward it to my email?
Yeah.
Because I have a listing presentation tonight, and I want to use a couple of those slides. And I know Bailey takes a minute to get it out to me.
Let me see. How do I share?
Do you want me to just send it to you? Yes, can you send it to me? Because I have a listing presentation tonight, and I want
My phone's back in the office, but I'll do it as soon as I can.
I'm good. How are you? Good. I have a meeting with my first client on Friday. At 12 noon, she's on vacation.
Yeah.
So oh, that's right. She told me that. That's right. Yes. So at 12 noon on Friday, we keep the ground running.
Hey man, you do a great job with that every single time. It's
Okay. So you met her already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was late.
I just want to make sure you got she's going to transition.
Yeah.